when Nico started bringing up them loads, I couldn't get rid of it because it was too much of it, the quantities. And so he's the one that told me, well, why don't just start fronting it out? And I said, okay. So I started fronting, and a lot of people didn't pay. And so that's when he flew up, and said, where's my money? And I said, well, they're not paying. He said, who? You owe me, so they owe me money. And so it was a lot of money. And he said, well, I tell you what, I'm gonna give you two options. You're gonna tell me who all is not paying and dodge you or whatever, or I know where your mama lives. It was like, okay, give me some time. Let me see if these guys gonna pay. They weren't paying. They still cussing me out and dodging me and talking crazy. So he gave me that option. He did what he had to do. And then after that, he said, now I'm going to send you some more loads and you're going to work for free and give me all my money. And then after I'm paid off, I'll release you if you want to go.
Welcome back to the Invest in Yourself podcast. Today I'm joined by a former drug kingpin by the name of Uchendi Nwani. During his time as a drug dealer, everything went smooth for him until the police started investigating him. When Uchendi got word that the police were coming to get him, he went on the run for a while. He of course ended up getting busted. Uchendi was able to escape a long prison sentence without becoming a government informant. He would eventually get out of prison, and the thing is that's really interesting about him is that he went from making millions off of drugs to becoming a $1 million barber. Please subscribe to my channel for more interviews like this, and without further ado, let's get into his story. All right, welcome back everyone. Today I got a really good guest on today. His name is Chen, is what I go by and call him, but what is your official name? I don't want to mispronounce it.
It's Uchendi Nwani, Nigerian.
Okay. Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking out some time and coming on my show. You got a really good redemption story, and you're doing a lot of great, good things now, man. So, can you? What do you want to do? Like, how do you want to take it back? Let's hear about your early life to hear about how you got to where you are today.
I mean, how far you want to go back?
Well, I suppose back a little bit before you got involved with becoming a drug dealer and all that. Like we can start a little bit before that because I know in college you did college and you did a lot of different things, man.
Oh, okay, well, I mean, childhood was typical childhood. Had a brother, sister, mom. Brought up in the church. Church was mandatory every Sunday. Prayer meeting on Wednesday. Choir rehearsal on Thursdays. High school played basketball. That was about the only sport. Then, when I graduated from high school back in 1989, I went to barber school. My best friend went to barber school before I did, a year before I did, because he was a year older. Minimum wage was $3.35 an hour back then. So our checks at the grocery store, fast food places that we worked, it was about $60 to $80 per week. Well, when he graduated from high school, his dad had a barbershop, and he went to barber school, and he was making about $100 a day when we used to make $60 to $80 a week. So when he told me that, he said, why don't you go to barber school? And so I decided to go. But back then, a lot of people's parents required them to go to college. You were forced to go to college. If you didn't, parents would put you out, all types of stuff. And my mom, she was an educator, school teacher. So if you didn't go to college, you got put out the house. So she let me go to barber school, promising that I would go to college, the next year. So I said yes. And so I went to barber school. And then, of course, I enrolled in college the next year. And I cut hair out through college. Ended up meeting a kingpin, a drug kingpin, Carlos Francisco Mendita, and he started bringing in kilos of cocaine, fronting them to me, and then I was selling them, and I became the biggest cocaine dealer in Nashville while I was in college, taking 18 hours a semester every year. So
Damn. I
yeah,
was gonna ask you. So, how did this go about? Like, how did you approach him, or he approached you, kind of thing, or? How
no, so of course I was a barber cutting hair, and his girlfriend went to college with me, and she asked if I would cut his hair when he would come to town, and I said, yeah, I can cut his hair. And so, I mean, he was a clean cut dude. He didn't look like a thug, highly intelligent, spoke several different languages. And, I would cut his hair. We'd just, talk about sports or business or whatever. And then one day he asked if I knew anybody that, bought cocaine or soda. I said, yes, my friends do. And he said, well, how much are they paying for a kilo? I said, I don't know, And he said, well, can you find out? I said, yeah, I can find out. So I went to a couple of my partners, who I grew up with, and they said they was paying like 28,000 per key. And so he said, well, I give them to you for 17. And so, math, I'm thinking 27, 28, minus 7, that's 10, 11,000, of each brick. So he gave me two of them. He said, here, try this, take this to him. I took it to him. They gave me, it was like 30, it was two of them. It was 27 piece. So that was like 54,000 or whatever. And then I gave him his 34, something like 20,000, just like that.
Wow. And just
So,
being, I
yeah,
mean, and for you that's for anybody, that's still a lot of money. And like for you to
yeah.
do that, it was
So,
just two simple transactions is what all it was. So it wasn't like you were being this big street dealer or nothing like that, going out and doing one transaction at a time, man. You were straight up, you just got in it, and just like that, you were
mhm.
connections, man. So how did that make you feel, or what did you end up doing with the money?
Oh, well, the next week he brought about 10 keys. This was like maybe 1990. And then got rid of that. Then he started just bringing up loads, flooding the city, and I couldn't keep up with it because he had more cocaine than the city, had money. And then I had to go to school too. I was in college taking, uh, 18 hours a semester. So I couldn't expand, I couldn't go to Atlanta, Memphis, all these other places. If I wasn't in college, I probably would have expanded because he had so much at the best price, best quality. So, um, but I didn't. I just stayed local because I had to go to school. But yeah, that's how that went.
Yeah, and so for you, when you were getting involved with it, it started off more big time than really little stuff. So for you, how did this make you feel coming from the family and stuff that you came from? And it was just like a whole territory that you weren't supposed to be a part of. So you were kind of like, of course, your past interviews and stuff, you always say you had like a double life kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't feel good because one, I didn't like drug dealers. Two, I wasn't raised like that. My mom was a school teacher and my stepdad was a pastor. He had the largest black church in Nashville at the time. And so, I'd sell all this cocaine and then Sunday I'm in church, sitting behind the deacons with a loaded 9mm pistol, listening to him preach. So I didn't like that. And then I always had to watch my back, I had to sleep with a pistol under the pillow. And then you front people cocaine, then they don't pay. Um, then you get robbed sometime. And so when things like that happen, it wasn't good because in the streets, when you do stuff like that to people, there are consequences, and the consequences are not good at all. So I didn't like that part either. The consequences when people did stuff, it was
And so
not
for
good.
you, yeah, no, I wouldn't imagine so at all. And like when you were starting to do other things, like for you got into it, you started growing up a little bit with it, but how long did you do it for, long term and things?
Well, that was from like 90 to 93. That last load, October 12th, 1993, it was over $1 billion worth of cocaine. The police got that. I was taking my midterm exam my senior year in college. So that's when it ended.
Yeah, so just a couple years is what you're doing. And like for you, it was really just something, it seemed like not really in your character, like you were completely a different person. And to get involved with this is just what it was. And I understand, like, well, that's what my whole show is about. It's like covering people that have redemption stories, man. And for you, you were pretty well fitting with that. And like, where did it end up leading? And like, what were some of the effects on your family and stuff? Did they really know that you were involved with that at all?
Now my sister did, but nobody else, and my brother do. But um, that was it. My mom didn't know because I went to college. I took 18 hours a semester. I was on the dean's list. I was still going to church. I wasn't hanging out with the street guys or whatever. I dealt with them, but I didn't run with them or whatever. But yeah, that's how that went.
Did they try to like press you or anything like that? The guys on the street because you didn't really have like that crew or crew of guys backing you up or anything.
No, I mean things happen, but like when people didn't pay, um, since they owed me, they owed Carlos Francisco Mendita, Nico. So everybody that didn't pay, or that, I got robbed a couple of times with a gun to my head. But um, when those things happen, put it like this: I didn't have to worry about it anymore, and people probably can read between the lines.
Right.
So it wasn't. It was not good. I don't have to look over my shoulder or anything because they got dealt with.
And so for you, when they did put the gun to your head and stuff like that, can you expand on that situation or any of those situations at all?
Oh yeah, I mean it was going to do a deal, and somebody I knew, and they put out a pistol, put the gun in my head. One of them was saying, shoot him, kill him." Some, bracing for the bullet or whatever. They had the cocaine, but they didn't kill me. But you can't do stuff to people. It's almost like if there's a snake in your house, a deadly snake, you can't hit that snake on top of his head and then go to sleep, because if you do, that snake is going to retaliate. So in order for you to be able to sleep and not look over your shoulder, you're going to have to do something to that snake where you know that uh, it can't strike again. So
So,
those things like that, I didn't sign up for that because I wasn't brought up like that. But I always did business, although it was an illegal business, but I did it with integrity and honesty. So in the streets, when you rob somebody or you owe somebody, it's not handled the way it is in regular life. You know, you probably want to go meet the Reaper.
it's a whole different world, really,
Yeah.
compared to, I mean, but you carried yourself which as a certain standard, and you would hope that other people would, but in that kind of line of work, I mean, you run into all kinds of different, characters, as you may call them, and people that aren't trustworthy, maybe be drug dealers or not drug dealers, but drug users and stuff like that, unpredictable kind of people. But like the people that you were dealing with, like, did they have some kind of, I suppose, like standard that you held them to or anything like that?
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of thugs, you give a dude 50,000, $100,000 worth of cocaine that and then he move out the projects and go buy a house or go get a grilled or go buy a car and put gold all on it, and then you calling for your money and he's ignoring you, and then back then we had beepers. This was the 90s, so you go to a payphone and beep him, he calls back. But if you call from your cell phone, he doesn't. Then you run up on him in the club and he call you all kind of names, and tell you he's not paying you nothing. You know, you're going to get dealt with. You're going to reap what you sowed, you know, some
And so,
type of way.
like in the beginning, you didn't really front people, right? Later on, you would go on to fronting
Yeah, no,
people.
I wasn't, because um, when Nico started bringing up them loads, I couldn't get rid of it because it was too much of it, the quantities. And so he's the one that told me, well, why don't just start fronting it out? And I said, okay. So I started fronting, and a lot of people didn't pay. And so that's when he flew up, and said, where's my money? And I said, well, they're not paying. I said, well, who? He said, who? I said, well, I really can't tell you that. He said, well, they owe you, you owe me, so they owe me money. And so, it was a lot of money. And he said, well, I tell you what, I'm gonna give you two options. You're gonna tell me who all is not paying and dodge you or whatever, or I know where your mama lives. So, it was like, okay, give me some time. Let me see if these guys gonna pay. They weren't paying. They still cussing me out and dodging me and talking crazy. So you, he gave me that option. And then, he did what he had to do. And then after that, he said, now I'm going to send you some more loads and you're going to work for free and give me all my money. and then after I'm paid off, I'll release you if you want to go. So I worked for about 2 months free, you know, probably close to 600,000 $1 million or whatever. Paid them, and I'm broke.
So yeah, I mean, after all the time you put into it in the beginning, it equaled out to being broke at that point, right?
Yeah, and so I'm broke and I'm done. And then there were guys out there who paid up front, and I kept telling them it's over. It's over. And they kept saying, no, make the phone call. And I'm saying, no, it's over. So they started coming over to my mom's house with duffel bags full of money, you know, dropping it on the table, 100,000, 250,000. Make the phone call. And I'm looking at it and I know numbers. Okay, I'm going to get, 10,000, 10 stacks or more off each brick, and now I got the money up front. So I'm doing the numbers. And so I made the phone call, started back up, said, I'm gonna get a million cash or whatever. Money was coming so fast, I didn't count it. I counted out like 1,000 tens, and that was 10,000, that's how I counted the monies. So I waited. Counted it out and put it on a scale. So then I would put the 20s on the scale like that. When it got to a certain weight, 20,000. So because I didn't have money counters and it was too much time and your fingers would get numb counting all that money. So then I started buying it. I wasn't getting no more fronted because I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole, because it was hard to sleep because I didn't sign up for that. But anytime you enter that life, something's going to happen to somebody. Either you're going to end up dead or in jail. One of the two.
What do you think their reasons were for, like, when you would front them? Why don't you think they want to pay at all? Wouldn't you think that the real logic would be like, okay, well, this guy's going to give me good product, good deal. I'm going to continue to go through him. But instead, they said, nah, we're not going to go back on this guy and pay him.
Well, I mean, that's how ninjas are. A lot of ninjas are like that. And y'all can read between the lines. That's how they do business. Some of them. I know people looking at this right now. You got family members that ain't paid you. You got somebody right now that owe you money, whether it's $20, $100. The principal is still there. They didn't pay, and they're not paying. So it puts a sour taste in your mouth. And a lot of times it's not even the money; it's just the principle of them not paying you, and then buying something in front of your face or telling you they're not going to pay you, and you asking for your money and they get an attitude with you. I mean, it's kind of backwards or whatever. So there's a lot of different reasons. Some people just are not good people. Some people think maybe you weak, they can get over. Some people just don't want to pay people. It's different reasons. But in the street life, you're probably going to get dealt with, and it probably won't be good. It's not going to end up good. So I didn't front anymore because it was not going to end right. you know, and I couldn't keep living like that. Heck, I had nightmares 11 years after I got out of prison. For 11 years straight, when I got out of prison, I had nightmares. I'd pray to God every night, give me a good night's rest. Let me have peace in my mind because of all of this stuff that I got to go to my grave with. I have a lot of stuff that I have to go to my grave with that I can't say. I'm not going to put myself in prison and incriminate me or whatever. So it wasn't worth it, you know.
And so for you, when you would, after you were gotten to that point where you stopped fronting people and you continued to go on with the business, where did that lead you?
Um, well, it led me in prison, and I hated what I was doing, but it became like it was like an addiction. It's almost like somebody living a double life. That's what it was. I mean, it's almost like a man is cheating on his wife, or a man is bisexual, that's gay or whatever. He's married and don't want his wife to know. It was a double life. It's not good, and you always dread when that if I get caught. It's everybody has that in the back of their head, something that they're not doing right. if I get caught. Well, I hope they don't find out. So it wasn't good.
So that always was on your brain, man, just always worrying. Did you ever have, like, an escape plan or anything at any point?
Well, the goal was to get $1 million cash and then walk away and quit. But like a junkie always wants one more hit, a dope man always want one more lick. So it's not even the money. You become a junkie. You become addicted, like pornography or sex, or it's an addiction that you it's hard for you to kick. A married man is gay or whatever. He has this addiction for another man, but he loves his wife and his children or whatever. Eh, Something like that, probably, that somebody can't kick, and they fight against it.
So you think you would've if you wouldn't have got busted, maybe you would've continued doing it for a while?
I would have continued because
Okay.
I'd already said that I was going to quit when I got to a certain point.
Mhm.
And I didn't quit. I'd always, okay, I'm gonna make one more run, one more lick, bring one more load. And then after that, okay, one more load. So I was not going to quit. And I have to admit that, I wasn't going to quit till I got caught. A lot of people don't quit certain things until they get caught, embarrass their family, hurt their kids, their mom, their wife, or whatever. And that pain, makes them quit. Pain brings change. Enough pain will.
Mhm. And so for you, kinda walk us down when you got busted, like, your last day on your last run, I guess, and because that's really what it came down to, your last run.
Yeah, so the last run, okay, I sent the money down in a secret compartment. Then I sent more money down. I went over to one of my friend's house, girl in college, and while she was naked, I strapped, probably like a quarter bill to her body, took her to the airport. This was before 9/11. We're talking about 1993. So the airports, they didn't check you. As long as you didn't have metal on, the buzzer wouldn't go off. So the load came back. I knew when the load it left Miami. I knew when it hit Atlanta. I knew when it hit Chattanooga. And I'm timing it. Because if it doesn't make it here on time, I know that the police, state trooper, somebody has pulled the car over, and then they'll keep it for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, and then say, well, you just going where you going, and then we're going to get him. So I always had it timed, where it would arrive right on time. And I had a midterm exam that day, that night, that evening. So I had to go take my midterm exam because I was a senior in college because I didn't want to disappoint my mom. So here I am getting the biggest cocaine shipment ever, and I'm worried about going to class because of my mom, to take my midterm exam. And so, so I go to college, Tennessee State University, take my exam, and my beeper keeps going off at 911. My sister keeps beeping me, so I know something is wrong. And so I just turn the test in and go outside, the classroom to get on the phone. And she said that, they had been busted or whatever. And she said they had helicopters and it was crazy. But I'm thinking, I didn't get caught, so I'm not in trouble. But I didn't know about that conspiracy law. I'm thinking, okay, conspiracy. I heard about that with Brutus and Shakespeare while I was in school, but I'd never seen anybody go to prison for not getting caught red-handed, with the stuff. So when they tell me about their conspiracy, I'm thinking, this is crazy. But I wasn't out there in the world like the guys that work for me or whatever. They look like a drug dealer. I didn't look like one. They talk like one, act like one. So I'm wondering why they trying to say I'm the leader because I didn't ever portray myself like that. I didn't want to run myself hot or anything, but it was somebody inside the organization, and they had phones tapped, so they was listening to other people. Every time it was a big deal, they said, "Well, I got to talk to Chin or whatever." Because I'm wondering, I'm reading the papers and looking at the news. Why are they saying I'm the kingpin? I'm the head person, and I'm thinking, something's not right here. But the Metro Police did the bus. The FBI didn't do the bus. When Metro was on to it, the regular police, they should have given it to the FBI to let them do the investigation. So if the FBI had done the investigation, we probably wouldn't be doing this interview because they wouldn't have did the bust that quick. They would have sat back and just watched the operation and see how everything went. They probably would have did it for years. Who knows? But Metro didn't do that. So the FBI took the case from Metro because it was so much the quantity, and they were trying to piece it together. And with them piecing it together, they went back to my childhood, all that type of stuff. And I'm taking 18 hours a semester on the dean's list. There's no way that this kid can run this type of multi-million dollar operation and take 18 hours a semester and be on a dean's list and cut hair and do all this. That's just impossible. They're trying to put this on this kid or whatever. And so the courtroom, everybody in the court, the judge, the stenographer, and all those people, they look like you. The guys that work for me, they pants hanging down, thug, yeah, no. And I'm in there with a suit and tie. Yes, Shauna, no, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm just a college student in college, sold a little cocaine. I'm not this kingpin that they're trying to say. I didn't even get caught with this stuff. Those guys got caught with it. I don't know whose it is. Baby's theirs. They got caught with it, but they're trying to portray me as Pablo Escobar. Y'all, El Chapo. I'm not this person. I'm not Nino Brown. I'm just somebody in college. And so,
Well, I was gonna ask you because you went on the run too before you got
yeah.
busted and all that, right? So
Hmm.
the so after you got the 911 beeper, the page or the beep or whatever it was. I guess I never had one, man. So I don't know, but anyhow, like after you got that, you get out of the classroom. Your sister, you call her. What happens next?
I went to Atlanta. I went out of town. I left because it was all on the news and all of that. Them looking for me and stuff, and I didn't want to go to prison. I mean, because I grew up in a good home. I'm thinking prison. I'm looking at Alcatraz, Shawshank Redemption, uh, getting raped. Dropping the soap. I'm thinking all that type of stuff. And I didn't want no parts of that type of stuff.
No, I mean, of course not. No, no way, no one would.
Yeah.
And so you went on the run, and you went there first. So when you got there, you had a place to stay, all that. Like, did you have someone you were meeting down there, or
Hotel.
what's that?
I was staying at a hotel.
Oh, okay. So you stayed there, and then how long were you on the run?
Probably maybe a month.
Oh, just a month then.
Yeah, month, 2 months, something like that. A couple of months.
So what were you doing? Did you like change your appearance or anything like
No,
that,
I
or
just wasn't coming out.
just staying in there all day?
And in the house,
Yeah, and
moving
when
around different places.
and so when they were, how did they end up getting you then?
I turned myself in
Really? So what made you do that?
because my mom kept telling me to turn myself in.
Oh,
She kept
okay.
saying they're gonna kill you or whatever. Turn yourself in.
So you were in contact with her and stuff then.
Hmm.
Damn. Yeah, that'll definitely make you change your mind or, wanting to come in. It just takes some outside person that you're really close with, especially your relationship with your mom and stuff. So when you went and turned yourself in, what was that like?
They were looking, and because I had never been in trouble, so they didn't know what I looked like. So when I turned myself in, it's not like they're not wanting to accept me, you know. But because if you looking for a kingpin or whatever, how they're portraying you, I guess people suspect they want you supposed to look a certain type of way. And I didn't look like that. You got to realize I'm 20, 21 years old. This is 30 some years ago. So I had a little glass. I looked like a schoolboy. So I had to, here's my driver's license. I am this person. So y'all lock me up,
And so they accepted you in after would they have to like make a call or something or
No, here's my driver's license. Okay, it is him.
oh, okay. So then they took you in and then I
Book
mean
me.
They booked you all that, and then did you have to do? I mean, you imagine you went to court and went in front of a judge and everything like that, and you lawyered up too, right? And you had to
Well,
spend a lot of money, I believe, right?
no, I didn't because remember that last load, I set all my money down because I wasn't getting nothing from it no more. Remember?
Mhm.
So the money that I had, I paid for the cocaine, and the cocaine came. The police took it, so I sent all my money down. I bet the house.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah,
So when you lawyered up, then was it just
I didn't lawyer up.
oh, nothing at all?
I had a
Nothing.
public defender because I didn't
Okay.
have no money.
Right. And then when you went and met with them, I mean, how was this? There's always this thing with public,
Well,
defenders and stuff.
I was
Go
with
ahead.
Metro Police did the bus, so the feds have 180 days before they take the case from Metro.
Mhm.
Okay, so on the 180th day, the FBI came to the Metro Police and took the case, and they came and took me and my sister. They say Wani all the way. That means you're going home. So they told me all the way. I thought I'm getting out some type of way, but I went down to the basement and it was two Caucasian men in some black suits, a white shirt, black shiny shoes. It was the FBI. My sister was already there. Then they took us to the federal building in this underground tunnel, whatever. And then we got on this elevator and ended up in this judge's chambers. It was an old white dude, looked like Santa Claus, Judge Kent Sadiq III. Had a gray beard, big old gray beard, all that,
Right.
glasses on, and he's looking down and he's saying, conspiracy to distribute cocaine, count one, carries 10 years of life, trafficking cocaine, 10 years, aiding and abetting, 5 years, gun charges, 10 years. So I'm adding it up, it's like 30 years to life. My sister faints, and it's like, wow, my life is over with, you know. And so they lowered our bond to like 25,000. So that was 2,500. So my mom went to the credit union and then put the house up to get us out. And I had a public defender. So I kept wanting to make the phone call because attorneys wanted about 50 to 100,000 for me and my sister. And I'm thinking, okay, this is the biggest cocaine bust ever. I can't go in there with a public defender because they're gonna hang me. I'm thinking they're gonna hang me. And my mom was saying, I said, I need a lawyer that's never lost a case. And she says, Jesus Christ. I said, I'm gonna be 50 years old when I get out. I'm 20 now, 21. I'm gonna get to 30 years. They ain't gonna give me life. They'll give me 30 because I ain't never been in trouble. So and she said, you gotta trust us. I need to make a phone call. I wanted to make one more run. Let them bring it. Nico, send it up here. I'll make a couple of phone calls, make a quick 100,000. Then don't do it no more. Pay the attorneys, whatever. She said no. So said trust in the higher power. And I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna be you're gonna be dead when I get out. And long story short, I had the whole city on lock. No one, the only people that went to prison was me and then the guys that got caught with it. So all the other guys, nobody else went to prison. So the street dudes knew that I didn't tell because none of them got picked up. But
Right.
it was like, I don't know who this cocaine was going to because it's not mine. I'm not moving this much weight. So how do I know who was getting this? That was like the story, whatever. And it was good that the FBI took the case because because Metro knew who I was. But when the FBI took it, the pieces of the puzzle did not line up right. I didn't
Mm.
fit the profile. This is not right. They've made a mistake. We're doing our homework. So that's how that went. Then, long story short, I got to go to that federal boot camp.
And I was gonna say too, with your sister's situation, when the judge, well, I mean, we didn't even cover it on this. Give the audience a little background. Like, why did she get in trouble, and would she end up getting?
When I was taking my midterm exam, she was the one that called me, and the
Mhm.
phones was tapped and kept warning, telling me what was going on. So that kind of brought her into the conspiracy. She was going to be a nurse. She was a senior in college. And I kept telling them, let her go. I'll take the 30 years, the life sentence, whatever. Just let her go because she don't have nothing to do with this. And she had a daughter. My niece was 3 years old. But that federal prosecutor, he dude just went all the way to the end. He was just all the way to the end. Not no, no. He said, well, we'll be lenient on her, but I can't make you any promises. And so I said, well, I'll just sign the papers, and hopefully I hope and pray I'll be lenient. So the guy, the driver who got caught with everything, um, when we got out on bond, he got busted with two more keys. So that really took the heat off of me a lot. So um, I ended up getting to go to that boot camp. They gave me 30 months. It was like a 30-month sentence, but they select 200 people a year out of 100,000 to go to this federal boot camp for 6.5 months. So when that happened, everybody at Nashville thought that I had told on everybody or whatever, because that had never happened. But the only people that knew that I didn't tell nobody were the gangsters, the thugs, the murderers, the killers, and the big drug dealers, because none of them got picked up. You know.
Well, that's all that counts, I suppose, in that kind of line of work. Like those are the guys that if you were, they're gonna come after you. That's for sure. So anyhow, like you didn't get your sister ended up she got like what was it like 180 days or time served or something when it was
Mhm.
said and done, and then you got your 30 months. So when they presented that, they convicted you, and then he offered that program, the judge, right? And when he told you about this program, like, what was you going through your head? How did you think you were even gonna did you know anything about this program?
Yeah, I knew about it because my attorney, the Ann Davis, she had told me about it, but I'd asked God to give me 10 years because I knew it was always at the back of my head. Do they know this or do they know that? So God just give me 10 years of all the dirt and stuff, havoc, problems that I've caused. And I didn't deserve a 10. Hell, I deserved a life sentence. I know, but I didn't do anything. And this may sound crazy, but I never did anything to somebody that did not do anything to me. I didn't go looking for trouble, although I did wrong selling cocaine, doing all that. But even the things that happened, yeah, I have a conscience. But if somebody owe me or done rob me, I I don't have a my conscience is not, I guess, leveled out. It's almost like if somebody beats you up and then you retaliate on them, you don't feel too bad. You still can sleep. But if if I had done something to a innocent person that didn't do anything to me, I'd feel terrible. I still felt kind of bad about the stuff, but not too bad because you did this to me first. So I got to go to the boot camp. She presented it to him, but I'm thinking, I ain't getting that. And shoot, there is a God. That's why I believe in him, because I didn't have money. If I had money and got that, I still believe in God, but I'd be thinking it was my money too. But I
Mhm.
didn't have anything. So I knew that it was him.
And so when you got to this program, well, what did you have to do? What were some of the stuff that you were required to do?
When I got there, because I flew up to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I was a self surrender. So I flew up a day early because they said if you're late, we're going to give you, I think, 5 years or something like that automatically. So I flew a day early, slept on the floor at the airport, and the prison was in the boonies, like. So I had to catch a bus to this hick town, like Mayberry, and it
Mhm.
was highly racist. Um, and then I went to the prison in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, highly racist. And then that was the same time that O.J. Simpson had beat that case. So it even got more racist because of that. So it was like hell there. It was like for a black person, it was hell. But that boot camp was for white collar criminals, doctors, lawyers, presidents of banks, insider traders, computer hackers. and the government built it for those type of people who did those type of crimes, and they give them a little smack on the wrist and go home. And these were people that took 30 million, 100 million, a lot of money, and then they got out. So I got to meet people who graduated from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, CEOs, people that I would never have gotten to meet out here in the free world, you know, um, and I got to talk to them and become friends. And then I learned a lot, way more than I did in college. So that's how, when I got out of prison, yeah, I was able to pass the average citizen up real quick financially and all of that because hell, I had the best coaches in the world. It was like having Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor, Dale Carnegie, people like that as your mentor and coach for 6.5 months. So it was school there. I mean, I learned about books, positive thinking, just all types of stuff that people talking about now on the internet because of social media. But I learned that stuff back in '95, whatever. So it was a good experience as far as that part. Um, Other parts, it wasn't, but I didn't have a problem. I mean, they never put their hands on you, although a lot of them were racist or whatever, but you just take it. Let them call your name or whatever, let it go in that ear and out the other. I'm just trying to get up out of here, you know.
Right, because if you were to fail this program, what would have ultimately been your sentence?
I went to prison for I think like 5 years or something.
Right, so, yeah, your mindset was just tolerate it and just
Yeah,
get through
yeah,
this.
yeah. I already knew,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Well,
was gonna be.
I was gonna say, and it is interesting that you were around all these white collared criminals and all that stuff because it really did factor into what you became today and getting out. Because you graduated college too, right? So after you got out of the prison and you passed, you ended up going to school, you and your sister, right?
Yeah, because I was a senior in college, graduate when I got in trouble. So I had to
Mhm.
withdraw, take, incomplete. So I needed 42 hours to graduate. So I took 18 hours a semester and 6 that summer. So I took 42 hours that year because I had promised my mom that I was going to finish college and give her that college degree. I'd heard her and embarrassed her and all of that. So I promised her, that I would do that. So when I got out, um, that's what I did. I had to live at a federal halfway house, and then at the halfway house, they didn't want me going back to college. You got to get a job and stuff, but they would not let me go enroll back in college, and I knew that was my right. So I had to go over there here to the federal people at the building, the federal building, and they had to call them people and come down there and tell them he has a right to go back to college. So when that happened, now the people at the halfway house is scheming to get me locked back up. Any little thing trying to get me tripped up to return. Because a lot of people at the halfway house go back because they violate or whatever. So now I'm dealing, with that too. But I'm going to school full time, working full time. And then when I enroll back in college, the advisor, they got to sign off on your hours. So I signed up for 18 hours. And they were saying, well, advisor telling me I can't do that. You can't do 18 hours. And I'm thinking in my mind, dude, I sold cocaine, ran $1 million operation, ran tons of women, plus cut hair, and took 18 hours and was on the dean's list. Now I'm not doing any of that. I could take 36 hours, and
Right.
so she wouldn't sign off on it. So there was a student that got, there signed off on something. So I looked at the signature and forged her signature.
Really? How'd that
Yeah,
work?
I got my degree. I
Yeah,
took them 18 hours,
yeah,
each
well,
semester and 6 that summer. So, um, yeah, that was that, you know, but it was hard to find a job. That was another thing. I had restitution. So if you don't find a job and you're at the halfway house, they was going to send me back to prison. So I'm going everywhere looking for a job. But, trafficking cocaine, aiding and abetting, gun charges, all of that stuff, conspiracy, everything that they got caught with, they charging me with. So everywhere I went for a job, They wasn't hiring me. So now they're telling me, well, you'll be going back to prison on such and such date if you don't have a job. I'd already enrolled back in college. So now they're stressing me out. And I'm praying, every night, whatever, Lord, help me find a job. And I'm going everywhere. And 3 days before they was going to send me back, God answered my prayer. I got a job working in this beauty salon at Tennessee State. And so I was working there in the day and going to college at night. And then that was like 3 years later when I came back to college because I had to go through my ordeal, my vacation, and I was a senior. And it was still seniors there, you know, from the 3 years ago. And the FBI, they had already came, the police had came to the school looking for me because I was out on the run. So they knew what had happened. It was all on the news and the paper and all that. So they would joke, where you been? What you been doing? And I say, Ninja, wait, what you been doing? You've been free out here. I've been locked up dealing with this case. And so that's how that went. So I had to deal
Yeah,
with that crap.
yeah. Well, you ended up, doing well for yourself after that because you got your degree, and then that's when you really started to pursue the whole barber aspect of it. So what drew you to get involved with that?
But with the barber, I mean, what else was I gonna do? Nobody would hire me.
Right.
So, but I was cutting hair for 3 cents an hour in prison. And I'm thinking, okay, I can't, nobody's gonna hire me, they're not gonna pay me anything or whatever. Who makes the most money in the beauty industry? you know, and Madam C.J. Walker in 1904, this black lady, first black millionaire in the United States, she had two things. She had a school and a product line. Black woman, Madam C.J. Walker. Every black person knows her. Every beauty professional knows her. They've heard of her. And Alonzo Herndon in 1904 or '03, he opened up a 24-chair barbershop in Atlanta on Peachtree with gold and crystal chandeliers and marble floors. And he was born a slave. And he used to sell peanuts and molasses, but most of all, he cut hair. And then he took that money and invested in Atlanta life insurance. And he became this multi-millionaire. So I said, I'm gonna give me a school. I didn't know how I was gonna get it or whatever. It's our job to speak it, believe it, dream it. Is the universe, higher powers job to make it happen. I learned a lot of that thinking there, whatever. So um I knew I was gonna get to school. I'd already wrote down the goals. I'm enjoying having a school. I'm enjoying making $1 million. I'm enjoying retiring my mom. I'm enjoying having a mansion. I wrote it down as if it already was. Not I'm gonna try to do this. No. And those guys at the prison, them white dudes, I can keep it 100 with y'all. Their minds, their English language was totally different than how I was brought up and raised. So when I came home, everybody thought that I was crazy. They thought I had been institutionalized because how I was speaking and what I was saying and all of that. They looking at me in the physical, but I'm speaking this big boy stuff or whatever. So, they laughing and everything, but um it happened.
Yeah, now I suppose you go by the $1 million barber, man. That's awesome. That's really cool that all that you've went through and how you've just absolutely overcame all that, that adversity, all that stuff that you went through, and you made a damn good living off of being being involved with the barber industry and all that. And it's just really cool to see that you were able to make a name for yourself after getting in trouble with all that stuff and really redeem your name is what I can say. You know what I mean? Because you had the drug charges and all that stuff that was hanging on the back of your head and stuff. But now you can look at that as I don't know how you can look at it. How do you look at it now? Like that part of your life.
I mean, coming out here, I mean, it really, I wouldn't say it was hard or whatever, because I met the right people. I met Miss Velma. She looked like she could be your mom. Um, she was my mentor, coach, or whatever. She helped me learn how to do all this stuff. So that made it easy. No man or woman is an island. I mean, the biggest part is people believing in themselves. Okay, I opened up a school. I'm 26. There's only been two barber schools in my city the past 100 years at that time. And I say, I'm going to open me a school. Okay, I'm on federal parole. I don't have a driver's license because I lost that because I had a ticket and then I went to prison, didn't pay it. So they revoked that. So now and I have bad credit. So I found a raggedy building, pay first and last month's rent after being turned down from all these other places. And I pursued to open the school. And I opened it with 0 students. Had never taught in my life. I still don't know how to cut straight hair like yours. Can't do the beard, use a razor, shampoo, condition. I can only cut curly, wavy, kinky hair.
Hmm.
So I get it approved. 0 students in the physical, 100 in the spiritual. For months, I didn't have no students, in the physical. So, all right, long story short, I ended up getting accredited in about 3 years, meaning I could get government funding. So now I'm accredited, getting all this money from the government, and I'm on federal parole. So every month I'm going to see my probation officer, showing them my paperwork, my bank statements of all this federal government money that's come to me. And here I am going to the federal building. I'm on federal parole. So the average person would not even had made decisions. A lot of people make decisions based on their past, their present, their predicament. They make decisions based on what people have told them, what they can do, what they can't do. But I didn't make decisions I made decisions based on a higher power. So had I not done that, I'd be probably working at a fast food, or and I'm not saying this to demeanor anybody. I'd be a barber working behind a chair, just cutting hair like that every day. And there's nothing wrong with that. But with God, you can do anything. You can have big dreams. You can dream like a fool. There's nothing wrong with being a barber if that's what you want. There's nothing wrong with that. But you may want to have more financial freedom, more time freedom. With a school, okay, you get accredited. The government is paying you 25,000 a student. Now you're getting 25,000 per client. Barbers brag, I'm getting $100 a haircut or $200 a haircut per client. Okay, well, what about this school owner? I'm getting 20,000 a client. I only need 50 of them for 1 year for one meal. So it's different. And if Madam C.J. Walker did it in 1904, and she looked just like me. See, that's when we see people that look just like us, because even you're white, I'm black. That's no secret. When black people see white people do stuff, okay, in our minds, well, he's white. That's why they were able to do that or whatever. It's almost like white people see a black person jump high and run fast. Okay, he's black, so he's supposed to be able to do that. I mean, it's something in our brains or whatever. But when we see people that look just like us, that have done certain things, it does something to us. The belief goes up. So I saw her, I saw Alonzo Herndon, and they did it way back then. So I'm thinking, I can do this.
It was just that belief in yourself, man. Just really being able to get motivated from seeing the right people up in those positions and all that. Like, I agree. I agree with everything that you're saying, man. It is just truly amazing that you got to where you are from where you were, but you always had that in you. You just had to unlock it somehow and go through certain things and to really bring yourself up to where you are now. No, how do you invest in yourself? I always ask that because it's the theme of the podcast name. But how do you invest in yourself now?
Well, your health is your greatest wealth. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you don't have good health. If you drinking and smoking and eating meat and chicken and all this other stuff that's injected with steroids and antibiotics and everything, it does something to your body. A lot of people probably don't believe that or don't think that, but with corporate America, it's not the same chicken, it's not the same meat that grandmama and granddaddy had. I mean,
Right.
even when I go to Whole Foods, there's not a lot of people that look like me there. A lot of them look like you. And they'll talk about the foods. They talk about the milk. You want your almond milk or rice milk or whatever because your health is your greatest wealth. So that's how I invest in myself. I mean, family, freedom, and peace of mind, that's free. It doesn't matter how much money somebody. Yeah, if somebody has some money, yeah, that's good too. Okay, yeah, it helps out or whatever. But your family, your freedom, a peace of mind, great health, all of those are free. They don't cost nothing. A good night's sleep, a good night's rest, no stress, a peace of mind. So those are the best investments. I mean, look at Steve Jobs. He had billions of dollars. He would have gave everything for good health.
Right.
So it's important that we have good health, peace of mind, all of that. I'm not telling y'all to don't eat meat, chicken, drink sodas, do this and that. No, I don't care. But if we know better, we should probably want to do better. Most of
Right.
my friends, they're messed up, bad, their health, from drinking, smoking, just putting things in their body that's not good for it. You only get one car. God only gives you one car. So you're gonna put bad gasoline in it, the car's not gonna run right. You can't replace it. You can get a hip replacement, you can get all these replacements, but nothing's better than that original.
Right.
You'll
No
be able
going
to
back.
tell if it's gonna rain. Well, it's gonna rain today. How you know? Because my shoulder hurt, or my hip or whatever. So you want to cherish that one car and you want to treat that car right. Because if you don't, you're gonna reap what you sow, probably.
Yeah, you're speaking the truth, man. I do appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story today. And I just, thank you again. You've got a really good story. It's very motivating, inspiring, all that, man. And like you said, for people watching that, like you said, the same color as you, man, that is motivation to see someone in your position like that. I mean, it is motivation. If you could do it, a lot of other people can, man. So I appreciate you taking out some time, Chin, and
All right,
coming
Ace.
on.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Uchendi went from being a kingpin to being $1 million barber. He is proof that people can change and make a better name for themselves. God has helped him become a better man in many ways. Please comment any key takeaways that you got from this interview. Please share it with anyone that you think will enjoy this type of interview. Please give the podcast a like button if you enjoyed today's video. Hit the notification bell if you want to get notified when the next podcast drops. If you would like to become an exclusive member of the Invest in Yourself podcast, please go to the video description and click the link to become a member. Me and Uchendi did a little bonus clip, so please go and check that out if you can. If not, please just subscribe to the channel. At the end of this video, a playlist will pop up of all the other interviews I've done in the past. Thank you again so much for watching, and of course, we'll see you on the next one.